Hello everyone and welcome to Access Module 2. This week we'll build on our skills that we started with Access Module 1. We'll take a look more at linking our information to external resources and creating a relationship between our tables so we are normalizing our data a little bit better so that we have that relationship that exists within a relational database. Let's go ahead and take a look at the project A here. We'll take a look at this and we will utilize some of the skills from the reading and from the training. I think you will find this very similar to Module 1. We're just going to build on it just a little bit more. So I'm going to go into the assignment just like you are from home. We'll let this load up and download our files that we'll be working with. So we'll hit the start button here. Alright, so we have our instruction file, we have a start file, and we have 3 support files. So I'm going to go ahead and download my instruction file, and I will put everything into one folder so that I'm working with everything in one location. That'll make it easier when it goes to look for these support files. So I'm just a little bit at a time. If you get that message about keeping it, yes, you want to keep it. Obviously, it does that a lot with database files. So I'm going to click on my support files now, get those downloaded, and then I'll move everything into one location. Okay, I'm going to drag everything here into my folder I've got created from my downloads folder into my module 2 folder. Now I have everything in the same location, and I'm ready to open up my instructions and take a look at those and my start file. So go ahead and get those open now. Actually, I'm going to copy and paste this just so that I can change its name right away to a 2. Now I can open up this file and I still have my original file from which I can work with. Go ahead and enable my content here in my Access database file and open up my instructions file here. I'm going to enable that, and I'm going to increase the zoom on it so it's easier to see here in my video. Alright, so I've got everything downloaded. I can open this. It's going to say if your name's right. I know it's right. I'm going to go ahead and scroll on down here and look at the very first set of instructions here. Most of the data that you need for the Global Human Resource Consultant database is currently stored in Excel workbooks. We're moving from our Excel and putting everything that should be in a database in that database. We're going to use the import spreadsheet wizard to improve the data from the support AC19 2A client's worksheet or workbook and append it, add it to the client table that's in our database. Do not analyze the table after importing the data, and do not save the import steps, because when you're using these import wizards, you have the ability near the end there to save the steps in case it's something you're going to do like weekly or monthly, something you're going to repeat. So it's kind of a way of creating a macro. But we're just going to do this one time, so there's no need for us to save these steps on importing the data from this specific file. If we were going to have someone else, it's going to be updating that file each month, and we wanted to repeat these steps to get that data that they are putting in, we could save those steps, but we're not going to. Then once we've done that, we're going to open the client data or the client table in datasheet view to see the data that's been imported, and it should look like this. Once we see that information in there, we are going to close the client table. So let's go ahead and jump back over to our database, and we're going to do exactly what it said. We're going to import this data. So we're going to, since this is external data we're bringing in, we're going to go to the external data tab. From here we're going to be importing, not exporting. So we're going to click on a new data source, and here's where you see the saved imports. If we were going to repeat, that's where we would get this from, but we're not saving. So we are going to be pulling information from a spreadsheet, so that's going to be from a file. We know it's from an Excel workbook, so we're going to click Excel. Now this is where, and that was really weird in the instructions where it said import spreadsheet wizard. That's what they're calling this. So now we're going to tell it what information we want. We want to look at the file in our location we just saved So access module 2. Here's where I've got that saved. Click on that. That's where we want the information from. So that's where we're specifying our information. We're going to append it to an existing table in our currently open database. So we're going to append it. And from the directions, it says that we're going to append it to the client table, which we see is right there. So we're going to drop down our drop down menu here, select the available table object, client. We're going to hit OK. Yeah, we know. We're going to go ahead and hit open. And if you recall from that picture, that's what this looks like. So we're going to go ahead and hit next. Remember, we're going to import it into the client table. We do not want to analyze it. We just want to be able to see it after we open it. So we're going to hit finish. We are not going to save this import step, so we're going to hit close. Now we're going to open up our client table in Datasheet View. You can either double click it, and that's always going to open up in Datasheet View. There we see it looks exactly like the instructions. We've verified it. Now we're going to close it. Now we're going to go back to our instructions and look at our next step here. Scroll on down. Right, more consultants were recently hired to prepare for a projected increase in business. Use the form file option from within our import and link group to import more data from the text file here called the consultant's text and append it to a different table, the consultant table. Do not analyze the table after importing the data, and do not save the import steps. Just like we did in step 1, only we're going to be pulling from a text file instead of an Excel workbook. And we're going to append it to the consultant table. So we're going to go ahead and switch. Once here, we're going to go through those same steps. We're going to go ahead and go to our external data, new data source from a file. This is going to be from a text file. So select text file there. Once your import wizard opens up, we're going to once again select where that file is. You can see it went right to the location I need it to. There's the consultant's text file. Select it. We're going to append this to a different table. We're going to append this to the consultants table. We're going to hit OK. We see the data. It's a delimited. This means that there's a character that's being used to separate the data in our file. So when it sees this delimited character, in this case it's a comma, it says, okay, this piece of information is in one column, this piece of information is in the next column, and this piece of information is in the next column. That's what a delimited character is. It's telling us we have some character in there in this text file that's separating the data that needs to go in each column. So we're going to click the next button. We know it's a comma. We saw that in the previous step. We want to go to the consultant table. We do not want to analyze our data. We're going to finish. We do not want to save the import steps. We hit close. And it's not telling us to open the file. We can open it up and see it. That's up to you. Step 3. Consultants work on projects such as repeating or creating websites for internal communication. Use the From Database option within the Import and Link group to import the table project from a different database called the Projects database. And we're going to import that information from that whole table. We do not want to save the import steps. We want to open the project table. So once we bring that table in, we want to open up that project table and we want to see what data is in there. And it should look like this one here. Once we've looked at it, we can close that newly created table. Let's go back to our database. Once again, we're going to be importing data from the external data. New data source. We are selecting from a database this time. It is an Access database, even though we do have options for larger Azure databases. the larger Microsoft version of the actual server database, SQL server. We have dbases. We have lots of options, but for this one, we want to select an access database. Same area, and I'm getting the projects. Hit OK or open. We are importing this table, so we're going to leave that there. We're not linking it to any other data source, so we're going to hit OK. Now for my import objects, I'm looking at that database and I see that there is a project. We can see if there are queries or forms or reports or even macros, but we know we just want this table, so we select the table. If we were selecting multiple, we could select multiple, but there is only one in this one, so we're going to hit OK. We do not need to save the import steps. We're going to hit close. And as you see to the left, we have a project table. Click on that and open it up. And it looks just like this one here. So now we can close our table. And we'll go to step 4 where we're going to open up the consultant table in Design View. Close this. I'm going to right click on consultant and open in Design View. Let's read the rest of step 4 here. The consultants can reside in any country, but many of the consultants reside in the United States. Therefore, we're going to change the default value property from the reside field in our consultants table to be USA. So we want the default value when a new record's created to display USA. Then we're going to save the changes but not close the table. So let's go back. Now that we are in here, remember we are working with the reside field. So we're going to click on reside field name here. And we see our field properties listed down below here. Here's where we're going to put in our default value. Since it is text, we're just going to put in quotes USA. You can hit enter. That's all we need to do for that. So let's save the changes. Remember it said to save but not close, so we're going to go see what step 5 says. With this table still open, in Design View, set the caption property as first name, so we've got a space there. So rather than it look like this, we want it to look like this. We're going to do the same thing with the last name field. We're just going to change the caption value in that field property to say last name when it's displayed. Then we're going to save the changes and close our consultant table. So from here, we're going to select first name, come down to our field properties, and then we're going to go to the caption area here. Once again, this is text, so just put in quotes, first name. Make sure to spell it correctly and make sure your space is there. Then click on last name, and same thing for the caption. We're going to put in last name. Now if you're worried because we didn't hit enter on when we did first name, just click back on first name and you'll see that it took your changes. Go ahead and save your changes. Now before I make change, I don't really like this, and sometimes access is tricky. I'm just going to take away the quotes. Even though it's text, I don't think it's going to be required here in 2019, and we're just going to look at it just to make sure. But I'm not a big fan of that. I'm going to hit save. I'm going to look at my changes to make sure that in my column headings it's going to print out just like that. With us putting the quotes in the caption field, we're probably going to see those quotes. So I'm going to take those out, switch to the datasheet view, and we should see, yeah, there we go. That is exactly how we want it to look. So we have the space in between first name and last name. I'm going to save that one more time, close my consultant table, and go back to our directions. We are ready for step 6. We are going to open the client table in Design View this time. So I'm going to go ahead and do that now. client. I'm going to right click on that, go to design view. Once you have that done, we're going to change the required property for the client name field to yes. Then we're going to save the change to the client table, close the table. You're going to get a data integrity warning. Once you see this, just click no. We don't want to, we know the data is correct on this one. We just don't want to force that on there. So let's go ahead and look at the required property for client name. There's client name. Here's required. Currently it's set to no. Just simply drop down the arrow there and set that to yes. I'm going to hit save here. We're going to get that error or that warning. I'm going to click no. I don't want the existing data to be tested for these new rules, so I'm just going to click no. And now I can close this table. All right, step 7. We're going to open the consultant table in Datasheet view. Let's go ahead and do that now. Consultant table, just double click it and that'll be in Datasheet view. As you can see, here's your data. Then we're going to apply the currency format to the salary field. So here is our salary field. You can see we just got numbers all crunched in together there. We want to apply the currency format to that whole field. Then we want to save those changes but do not close the table. And when we apply this currency format, we should see it right away. So we're going to come back over. I'm going to select the salary column. Then I'm going to come up here to my table tools fields tab there. So once I click that, I see here in the formatting group, I have the format button for how I want that information formatted. Drop this down, I should see currency. There it is. As you see, as soon as I select that, the information gets applied. So I'm going to deselect that. I'm going to go ahead and save this, but once again, I'm not going to change or not going to close it. So I've saved that information. Come back over. We are now ready for step 8 here with our consultant table still open in Datasheet view. We're going to move the salary field that we just made a change to so that it appears immediately after the start date field. All right. So we're going to click and drag the salary field so that it shows up right after start date, just like we see here. So I'm going to select this field again, keep my mouse there. I'm going to click and hold it, bring it to right before mobile, so it's right after start date. So you see that big black bar there, let go. Now our field is moved over and it's moved the existing ones over one column width. Next thing we're going to do, we're going to add a new field following the reside field with the field name of skill code with a short text data type. So we can see it's right here. Right after reside, we want to have a new one called skill code. Then we'll save those changes. We want to make sure it's a short text data type. So let's go ahead and go over here. It says click to add. I'm going to go ahead and click that. We want it to be short text. Now it says what's the name for this field? Go ahead and give it the name skill code. Hit enter. And there we go. So that should look exactly like this one here, and it does. Go ahead and save your changes and close the table. Come back over to our instructions. Now we're going to open the project table in Datasheet view and make some changes. All right, so let's go ahead and open the project table. We're going to be in Datasheet view, so just double click it. Now with the project table open, we're going to resize the description field so that all the values are completely visible. So we're just going to use our best fit skill. So we're going to go to the description field there. We're going to resize it. I'm just going to put my mouse in between these two. Once it changes to the double arrow, double click, and now I can see all the information. So we've applied best fit in Excel. You can do the same thing here in Access. Once we've done that, we're going to add a new field following the description field with the field name months, and a number data type. So now we're going to do that. We just did this, so we know how to do that. So let's go ahead, and you can see here in this image, it is not in this one. Alright, so we are going to do that here. We're going to add the description field, new name months, number data type. So here, you know that's going to be a number data type. It wants to be called months. Enter. And now we have our 3 columns as part of this table. Now we can save our changes and close. Alright, let's go back. We are ready for step 10 here. We're going to open the consultant table and datasheet view. Okay. Consultant table, datasheet view. We've double clicked on it. We're good. We're going to delete the mobile field and save the change. So you can see we have start date, salary, reside, skill code. We're going to get rid of this column here, or this field. Once we do that, we're going to save the change, and it should look exactly like this. Alright, so we're going to get rid of this mobile field, and once we do that, we want to make sure, verify that it looks just like this. So the mobile field, select it, right click, you can see I delete the whole field. Am I sure? Well, of course I am, but thank you for asking, just in case I selected the wrong one. I'm going to hit yes. That is gone, and our table looks the same. Scrolling down, step 11, with this table still open, decrease the number of decimal places for the salary field to 0. Then save the changes and close the table. So remember, we just changed this. We want to get rid of these decimal places here. So let's go ahead and do that now. We're going to come back up to our Table Tools Fields tab here. And here in the formatting group, this is where we see we can add or decrease our decimals. Well, we know we're going to decrease that. So as we click this once, we're down to 1 0 place. One more time, and now we're down to 0. Once we've done that, let's go ahead and save the changes and close our consultant table. I'll go back to our directions now. We are ready for step 12. Here we're going to open up our project table and design view and make some changes to the months field. Project table. We've got that open. We need to be in design view. So on the bottom right or up here in the views area, you can switch your view. I can come down here and click design view, or here on the home tab in the views group, I can select view and go to design view. Multiple ways. Remember, we're going to work in that months field, so we want to select months. Now we see our field properties down here. We're going to change the default value to 3. So we're going to come down here, find default value. Currently it's 0. We're going to make that a 3. Next thing we're going to do, we're going to increase the number of decimal places to 2. So if we come on up here just a little bit, it's auto right now. You see that there? We can select a 2, or we can just type in 2. I'm going to hit enter. So we've changed our default value to 3. We have 2 decimal places now. Now let's save the changes and close the project table. But I see here on the next step we are opening the project table back up, so let's not close it. I'm just going to hit save. Alright, step 13, we're still in the project table. We are still in design view. We're going to add a new field below the months field named consultant ID, and we want that to have a number data type. Alright, so we're going to go ahead and come back over under months, consultant ID. Once you have that there, you want to have a number data type. So in the data type, drop down, select number. We're not going to put a description, but now we have added a new field. And we have given it a number data type, so only numbers can be put in there. This is going to serve as a foreign key field to allow one record in our consultants table to link to many records in the project table. So one consultant could be part of lots of different projects. So that's why we have one consultant, many projects. That's a one-to-many relationship. One record here can match up with many records in this table. So that is what that's explaining to us. We're going to save and close the project table. So let's go ahead and save. And we are going to close. Now we are ready for step 14. We're going to open up our relationships window. So let's go ahead and do that now. So that is our data tools tab here. Relationships group, relationships. Now you see that we have our relationships table window open. We are going to add the project table and the consultant table. All right, let's do that now. Project table and consultant. I can do them one at a time. I can just click consultant and click add, or I can use my control button on my keyboard and select the other table, hit add, and they'll both show up. Those are the only two tables it told me to do, so I'm going to hit close. Now I've got two different tables here. I want to make sure I can see all of my different fields. There we go. Back to our directions. We're going to create a one-to-many relationship between the consultant and the project tables, just like I just described in the previous step, using the common consultant ID field. There's our consultant ID field here, and in our project there's our consultant ID, and we click here on the consultant ID and drag that to the consultant ID here. It's saying one of these can match up to many of these, so it creates a relationship between the two tables. The two tables are related because they have the same field. Here this is a primary key because no other consultant IDs will be the same in this table. Over here, since there can be lots of different records with this consultant ID, it is not a primary key, it's a foreign key. It is unique, it's in this table, but it's foreign to this table. Here in the project table, every project has a unique ID, none will be the same. That's why that is the primary key here in the project table. And once we create that one-to-many relationship between those two tables, we want to enforce referential integrity on this relationship so that we are making sure our data is good. Alright, so we're going to go ahead and drag this, click and drag this consultant ID in the consultant table, because there can only be one, to this project table where there could be lots of records with the consultant ID. Let go. It says, hey, you want to create a relationship between the consultant table and the project table using the field consultant ID. It recognizes this as a one-to-many relationship, so everything's good there. We want to enforce referential integrity. Check that check box, hit the create button, and there is our relationship one-to-many. Let's go back. We're ready for step 15. With the relationship window still open, we're going to add the skill table. Okay, let's add the skill table. Come back over, click this show table button once again in the relationships group, and we're going to go ahead and add our skill table. We can hit add, close, come back over, and once we do that, we're going to create a one-to-many relationship between the skill table and the consultant table using the common skill code field. Once again, we're going to enforce referential integrity on the relationship. Once we're done, it should look like this one here. So we have a skill, and we're assigning that skill a code that's unique. Every skill will have a unique code. That's why that's the primary key. No skill name will have the same skill code. And then one skill could be applied to many consultants. So the skill whatever could apply to 100 different consultants here that have that skill code listed as their code in our records for each consultant. So we're going to drag it, skill code, we're going to click on the skill table, skill code field, hold that, drag that over to the consultant table, skill code field, release that, get our relationship wizard, and enforce referential integrity. We're going to make sure it's a one-to-many in this direction. So come back over. I'm going to go ahead and just pull this down just so it looks cleaner. So one skill to many consultants. Hold skill code down with my mouse, drag it over here and click on the skill code there. One-to-many relationship, force referential integrity, create. Now we have relationships between our tables. Now we're going to close this relationship. Yes, I want to save the changes. Come back over, save and close the relationship window. We did that. Now we have completed our project. We're ready to close this. Now when you go to close this, save and close any objects in your database. I'm going to take a look at mine. I don't have any objects open. All this object pane is clear. We're going to compact and repair our database, then close it, and then exit access. This is going to shrink the size. If there are any errors in it, it's going to fix the database in case there's anything wrong. Then we're ready to upload it. So I'm going to come back over, go to my backstage view by clicking on the file button. Very first option here, compact and repair. Help prevent and correct database file problems by using this compact and repair database button. Click that. It's compacted, it's repaired. I'm going to hit the file button and close this specific database. Now I only have access open, and now I can exit access. That is it for Access Module 2 project here. If you have any questions, don't hesitate to reach out. Good luck, everyone.